The Counter-Strike community was shocked this past weekend when k0nfig, who had been sidelined from the Astralis roster for weeks, revealed that his ankle had been broken as part of a fist fight in Malta. A serious ankle break requiring multiple surgeries, delaying his return home, and not to mention having to work through the consequences of this life-changing injury. It's a harrowing tale, and one that we finally have in the man's own words, so let's dig in. Before we get into the video, I just want to warn you that it does contain descriptions of violence as well as severe physical and mental anguish. I understand if you're not equipped today to take that on. I do feel it's important to look at accounts like these, but you're important too. So don't push yourself, and feel free to punch out now if you need to. Okay, so if you're still with me, let's dive in. What actually happened here? k0nfig, better known by his alias k0nfig, is a 25-year-old Danish CSGO rifler, and during the incident we're about to discuss, he was a member of Astralis's CSGO roster. Astralis traveled to Malta in September to attend ESL Pro League Season 16's group stage as one of that league's permanent partners. However, they missed the cut for playoffs behind Complexity in Group C, so they were basically done for this tournament. Shortly after the group stage, though, Astralis announced that k0nfig had suffered a complicated ankle fracture and would be replaced by Mr. for the upcoming RMR event. This was a little strange maybe, but I mean, it is possible to break your ankle or foot just from stepping off a curb, strangely. Still, it kind of seemed like it could be more serious than that, and nobody was saying why or how it happened. That is until Christian Slot of news outlet Jackson reported that k0nfig had been in a fist fight in Malta and that he would be removed from the Astralis roster. I think it's important to clarify that the initial Jackson report did not link the broken ankle explicitly to the fist fight, although it did mention the Astralis tweet about it. k0nfig then tweeted a reply to the article where he claimed that he was previously contacted by Jackson with rumors that were, quote, mostly BS. 2 weeks later, and after much speculation across the CSGO community, k0nfig told his side of the story. In the twit longer, he confirmed that the fist fight did happen and it was the cause of the broken ankle. He said he was trying to rejoin his teammates at a club after grabbing some food on his own, but when he got to the door, a club promoter dissed his tattoos, refused him entry unless he paid 5,000 euros for a table, and things got a little heated. When they exchanged words, k0nfig said that this promoter spat directly in his face and then kicked him in the head. Not a difficult feat considering that the entrance to the club was at the top of a staircase and this guy was standing a couple stairs above. The kick sent him down the stairs and sprained his ankle, k0nfig said, while the promoter scurried inside. k0nfig said that he was nursing his swollen face and sore ankle, trying to keep his emotions in check when he saw the club promoter then leave the club in a hurry, and he decided to confront him. By k0nfig's telling, he told the promoter that he'd be reported to the police, and the promoter then again spat directly in his face. Side note, who spits in people's faces nowadays? Before the fight began in earnest. But k0nfig said that his leg was fully broken during this altercation, and as he lay on the ground, the promoter was trying to kick him in the head, and he couldn't get away because of the leg. He wrote, quote, "I tried to run away, but I couldn't put weight on my right leg. It just snapped and broke completely, dislocating my foot as well. He stopped kicking me because I dragged him down to me and I had to do self-defense to make him stop kicking me. I was so scared that I was about to die. I remember feeling like I was watching my own body from above laying there." Thankfully, that wasn't what happened, but somebody nearby had to call an ambulance for k0nfig because the promoter had apparently stolen his phone before fleeing. From a hospital in Malta, k0nfig said that he wanted to return to Denmark to get the necessary surgeries, but he was warned that because of damage to his orbital bone, it might not be possible to fly without causing damage to his right eye due to pressure changes. But eventually he was cleared to fly, he was able to make it back home, and doctors in Denmark confirmed that he would need surgery in order to repair his ankle. He underwent 2 surgeries, the first to stabilize the foot using rods, etc. The second to actually put a plate into his shin to kind of tie the whole thing together, including pushing some of the muscle back into place. The physical damage, he said, was excruciating. The mental burden was pretty bad too. He said, quote, "I can't explain how bad these days have been. My sleep was non-existing. I was sleeping around 1 to 2 hours a night and was constantly scared. And when I hit deep sleep, I would wake up feeling like someone was trying to drag my legs and pull me out of the bed. I had night terrors, waking up drenched in sweat, and still have almost every single night." But even after the final surgery was done, he said, the mental toll continued. Quote, "When I came home, I broke down crying. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It felt so f***ing bad that I just wanted to delete everything and just give up. I couldn't stop crying. I was in my own bed feeling empty. The entire time I was hospitalized, thoughts had been in my mind. Is this the time to end my career? Is this it for me? But this is nowhere near the end for me. I'm going to war against myself now. No, I'm not going anywhere." Call me sentimental if you want, but for me, this is a pretty poignant account of one person facing extreme hardship and just trying to find the strength to push through that situation and keep going. I got emotional reading it. He's clearly struggling, but he's also resolved to get some help and to eventually return to Counter-Strike. Regarding the decision to confront the promoter on the street, k0nfig said, quote, "I regret this terribly. I should have walked away. I should have just gone home and licked my wounds, because then none of this had happened." That's the right thing to say, and k0nfig would also go on to accept responsibility for his part in this confrontation, which is good. And listen, I'm more into Street Fighter the game than Street Fighting the activity, so I'm no expert on physical fights. But from what I've seen, fights are brutal, messy, and often over quick. Even just falling can hurt or kill a human being if the right set of circumstances emerge, so you add trying to do active harm to another person into that, and things can spiral out of control pretty quickly. Chasing after the guy wasn't the right call, clearly, and k0nfig admitted as much. But I will say, even though the police know who this person is and they are investigating with k0nfig listed as a victim, that's cold comfort when you're nursing your reconstructed leg back to health. More comforting, perhaps, were the messages from the CSGO community. A lot of people came out to support him in this difficult time, and it's another reminder that at the end of the day, this is a sport and no one wants to see real harm come to anyone, even a competitor.
He's taking responsibility for his actions. It is very easy to feel sorry for yourself, and to some degree, you should allow yourself to feel sorry, because losing your spot in Astralis, now being in a position where he probably can't play Counter-Strike for a month or so.
Now, I have to know for the sake of fairness that even though k0nfig replied to that Jackson story stating that the rumors he was approached with were, quote, mostly BS, end quote, we don't know what those rumors were or if they're represented in the piece that they published. What Jackson did publish seems to line up perfectly with k0nfig's account, although admittedly it contains far less detail, and like I noted earlier, it doesn't explicitly link the ankle break to the fist fight. And Jackson ended up taking a bit of a victory lap anyways to set the record straight. Okay, so k0nfig isn't giving up. He said he wants to become the god-tier Counter-Strike player that he knows he can be, so why exactly did he say that? k0nfig's career could have ended as a result of this event, and for many fans, that would have been extremely disappointing. That's because k0nfig is, by his own admission even, a player who hasn't hit his full potential. We've seen very exciting peaks, but we haven't seen that period of dominance. In the past, he's admitted that he could have handled the social part of CS a bit better. But for the longest time, the Danish rifler's keen instincts and aggressive play seemed poised to set him apart. Then in 2017, he had a bit of a breakout year. He was ranked 14th on the HLTV top 20 players list, and then set the record for most kills in regulation time against Renegades in early 2018 as part of Optic, with 47 kills. He would eventually join Complexity, and then finally Astralis, the organization built by some of the greatest players Denmark has ever fielded in CSGO, and an obvious spot for a rising star in CS. But none of these rosters ever really managed a level of consistency that would allow k0nfig to refine and elevate his game. So that's one more reason why people are so excited to see him commit to continuing his career. k0nfig and his fans don't want this to end on a not quite, especially when we feel like the potential is so much better than that. Sure, he's a lot better at Counter-Strike than most, and no one's disputing that fact. But even he feels like he can do better in the future, and he wants that for himself. We as fans want that too. We don't want a career cut short by a hasty decision or regret. And hell, even if he never makes it back to pro play, the decision to keep going, to keep learning about yourself, even if that's a difficult process, is commendable and, in my opinion, deeply human. But I'm willing to bet that he'll be back, because a lot of people want to know the answer to the question, how far can k0nfig go? And I think the person who wants that answer the most is him. Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring the notification bell. For unique bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit us up on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.